What's up, hot makers? Welcome to HotMakes right here on the Edge of Tech with Nerdy J and the Pooch. How you doing, Pooch?
I'm good, man. We're pimped out today, eh?
I got the I got the hair in the face. Llama shot me the updated 3D print Viking helmet, so I had to put it on my head. And you got the Poochicorn.
I'm sporting the Llama original Poochcorn helmet, tricolor, quad color, actually, technically, my little badging. This is a V2, though. He's been going crazy with it. I haven't even gotten to print the V3 yet, so I'm excited for that one because that's got interchangeable threaded horns.
What?
Yeah, so maybe we'll tease that for next week, huh?
Yes, we do. Someone says we're a big disgrace. I love it.
Just a big disgrace.
Yes. I got blood on my face, you know. Anyways,
it's a lot of big talk from somebody that doesn't, want to get gored.
I know these things are super sharp.
They are.
Llama is not messing around when he tells you to sharpen your horns in the end. Like last instruction, sharpen your horns.
Yeah, no, Llama designs a practical helmet. He's like, this is a helmet that you would use in battle to gore your enemy.
You definitely would. You never know. We have a super awesome guest today, and
man, I'm excited for this one.
I'm super pumped, and you never know what he's got. Maybe he has a llama helmet. We'll have to ask him. Maybe he has a llama helmet or something.
Sounds like he was throwing down challenges and stuff. I mean, I'm excited to see what he's going to come up with.
He probably is going to put on that like geisha that like fully opens and his face is behind it or something.
You think that's what he's going to go with? It's going to be something way cooler than this. He's going to make us look silly.
He will.
Like we don't already.
Brian Vines is in the house. Everybody else, how's it going? I know there's a ton of you already watching out there, so thank you guys so much for being in the chat early and chatting before the stream. We definitely appreciate it, and I know that we missed last week, but we're here this week. I'm going to get through an amazing interview we're going to get through, and then we have some hot makes, and we'll go from there. But I don't want to delay the inevitable too much. I think we should bring our guest in pretty quick. What do you think?
Let's do it. We got a lot to cover.
We do have a lot to cover. Ladies and gentlemen, the man behind many of the hot makes for the last few weeks. Put your hands together for Matthew Nicholas. How you doing, Matthew?
Gentlemen, how goes it?
Hands together.
We're doing great.
Welcome.
We need to
uh-oh.
Not to be the odd man out here.
Oh, all right.
You got headgear too?
Oh,
he's the Grand Poobah.
You do a lot from the past here. Sure.
I love that. That's brilliant.
Is that fur?
It is. We 3D printed the shell.
That is
inside,
way cooler than mine.
And the gals at Joann's Fabrics gave me kind of a raised eyebrow when I bought this stuff. And truthfully, I never want to build anything with it again. It sheds and it sticks to everything.
Now, is that genuine Muppet Fur or is it faux?
What was that?
Oh, I just want to know if it was a genuine Muppet Fur or if it's a faux Muppet Fur.
I love it.
That's solid. That's a good design. That's your design then?
It's this cobbled together tall plastic mesh mix tube and a pair of horns off a Thingiverse, and
cobbled some horns on there. I love it.
One of the coolest things. For one, I tell you what. Let's start over. Who are you? What do you do? Where you're from? And then we'll jump into all the cool stuff like this. I mean, we got to talk about that. But so who are you?
My name's Matt Nicholas. For those of you who don't know, I go by the song "The Akiri." I've been doing,
Wait, how do you say that again?
It's Le Song the Akiri. It's a pun. So it's basically like the cheese, laughing cow, except it's a wild boar. Because my mom's from Belgium. I was born in Belgium, and so I grew up with my nose deep in Asterix and Obelix, and in the Ardennes forest, the wild boar it's the game of choice. It has been since the Middle Ages, and so it just kind of morphed into this thing, and the logo popped up years ago, and it just stuck. So nobody can pronounce it, but at least they recognize the logo anytime I post stuff. Yeah.
Le Sangali Keri, I don't know, something like that. Okay. Okay. Well, hey, good. We're getting some good cultural education on the show today.
I'm so glad that you can pronounce that, and we can just call you Matthew.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't. That would be over for me. But so what do you do? I mean, we see all this cool stuff. We've been showing you on HotMakes for, man, it seems like weeks. I think someone tagged us first with the ghost in the shell. I think it was the ghost in the shell that we first saw on the show.
Yeah, that was
do you do that for a living? What is that something that you do, or what?
It's been about a year and some change of me slowly building and expanding, and I just I went the difficult route with this and stuck with what I knew, because I've been building replica film props and models out for over 20 years now.
Wow.
And so, the hurdle was, do I join the ranks of everybody who's on Etsy selling, 300 rubber band guns that you didn't know you needed until 2 seconds ago, or stick with what I know? And so it turns into just these, one-off pieces for the most part, unless somebody sees something that I've built and goes, oh, hey, I want one too.
Right.
And then it goes from there.
That's awesome.
It's been steady. It's not great, but we're getting there. The orders are coming in.
I've always had a lot of admiration for people with artistic talent like yourself that are able to make a go of it, because given that you never know where your next thing is coming from or how far away it and I mean, that can be a stressful way to make a living, obviously.
It is. It makes for really long days. There's a lot of 15, 16-hour days here in the shop, and you just kind of eat, breathe, and sleep it. And the turnaround time is key, and watching your overhead is key, and obviously publicity and word of mouth is huge. So something like this, genuinely, thank you guys. It makes a big difference for me. I spent the last 7 years as a shop foreman for an electrical shop, building motor control panels and stuff. And I've been doing this as a hobby for, like I said, over 20 years at this point, and building for myself or doing small runs of stuff for folks. And we moved. We got out of the Pacific Northwest, finally had enough of the rain, and moved down here to Carson. And then the COVID stuff hit, and
wow.
What are you going to do? So I looked at my wife and went, well, I finally have a shop. Let's see if we can give this a go. And so
I know that feeling.
Yeah, you just take that deep breath and step out, and then it just involves a lot of long hours and a lot of constantly thinking and worrying about stuff. But the sponsorships have been coming in, and so that helps a lot with materials. And
nice.
We're getting into a rhythm. I mean, obviously the projects are cranking off the benches. So some of what you see is stuff going out to folks that have commissioned it, and then there's the occasional odd piece that I build for me, or just because I feel like it, and
right.
it goes on a shelf until somebody goes, oh, hey, can I have one like that? And I go, you can have this one. If it's not my dog's, my wife, or my soul, and it's not nailed down, it's for sale. That seems to be the general way to do it.
The life of the artist, and that's that. I mean, yeah. Well, it's amazing, because it's like your art speaks for itself. It's like, I think it's pretty clear once people see the caliber of what you're producing, what you're capable of, and it's neat. So it's like you're doing your own word of mouth advertising. Obviously, social media plays a huge role in this day and age in getting all of that out there.
Well, and it's an interesting take on it too, because you've got a lot of the old guard in the prop making and collecting community, like the really hardcore guys, and where it's years and years and years of just everybody working together and poring over the tiniest details and trying to find the found items, and guys that are vacuum forming and resin casting. And so even here, 5 years in for me, 3D printing, it's still kind of new and still kind of viewed as cheating. Never mind the fact that there's just as much work into it on the front end, and potentially on the post-processing end too, quite frankly.
Right.
The mindset is slowly changing, but I've run into folks who immediately knee-jerk and go, oh, well, if it's 3D printing, it must be cheap. And I go, maybe it is. It's certainly possible if you've bought a helmet off of Etsy or something, and the guy decided to save as much money as possible and minimize infill and his sidewalls. But quite frankly, for what I charge in doing one-offs now, the plastic just gets dumped into it just to make it as quality as possible.
Nice. Well, I mean, some of the things you do, like we've saw, what was it? I think it was the Ghost in the Shell. Was that a geisha, if I remember right?
It was, yeah. That was a phenomenal model. I have, I guess being such a movie junkie, I go to bed with keywords in my brain, and it's like the last thing I do at night, the first thing I do in the morning, and I try to steer clear of the Baby Groot trends and the Baby Yoda trends, where 3 million people are doing them, and try to just kind of think a little bit more
Right.
outside the box, whether it's something I've snagged and I'm cobbling it together, or whether it's something that someone else has done, like that beautiful model. And that was one, I approached Filamentum with it, and I think that was the third sponsorship, and I love their filament. They're great to work with, and they just went nuts for it. And it was it was a fun project, but it was difficult. Like, you definitely need to have your printers dialed in to keep the tolerances tight on it.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, yeah.
And I know we've caught glimpses of the shop, and I think for those watching, we're actually going to get a tour, right, of your shop in a little bit.
Yeah, you guys get a tour and a couple exclusives. There's one that's been getting photos, and no one's seen like the 100% finished yet. And the big kick I've been on lately, I went down a Tim Burton rabbit hole, and it's a funny part that occurred to me. So you guys have played like Guitar Hero or Rock Band, yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so has the thought ever struck you that you're bringing in a whole separate part of your brain that normally is just completely inactive while you're listening to music? Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, you're watching notes, you're timing everything with your strumming and everything else. And all of a sudden you catch yourself starting to become more aware of certain parts of a piece of music that you go, oh God, I'd never even heard that before.
Yeah.
Or a song that you didn't really like before, and now all of a sudden you do kind of like it because of the game. You've learned this new appreciation for it. The Tim Burton artwork, I don't think I'd ever noticed it before up until I was looking at reference pictures and painting stuff. Stripes. Like I picture Tim Burton in pre-production being like, oh gosh, what's that movie where she's yelling no metal hangers. Oh gosh, it's about the famous actress and her mom. It's an old one too. No, it's going to totally slip my brain. But anyway, suffice to say,
in the, chat
the general thought is I picture Tim Burton just screaming more stripes at the top of his lungs because everything has stripes. The sheer amount of time-consuming hand-painting stripes in the weirdest areas.
Mommy Dearest?
Mommy Dearest, yes, that is it. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you to Brian Franklin on that one, and Dr. Jekyll.
And Dr. Jekyll, and yeah.
But yeah, lips, outfits, you think Beetlejuice, you think, okay, sure, his outfit's got stripes. Oh man, the worm's striped, his lips are striped, his tongue is striped. Nightmare Before Christmas, everything's got stripes. And once you become aware of it, you don't see anything else but stripes. So we got a couple pieces to show off for that, and then we get another fun one. That's just a fun shot build. So that'll be a good one to show off.
Is it something like this one? I mean,
it's funny to me. when you're posting on social media, you're always posting whatever your piece of work is front and center. And invariably, I notice more people are doing this and looking at what's in the background. So everybody went nuts for the Han Solo and Carbonite door, which that was just kind of a fun, toss together, no worry about being overly accurate project. But
Alien.
I've got the other door to the storage room in here, and I've had this idea bouncing around my brain for like 6 months, and finally started on it. And we're doing a Wiley Coyote in Carbonite for that door.
Nice.
That's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah. It'll have a twist. The twist isn't ready, but we've got enough to make it visually interesting. It should be good for a laugh. So yeah.
Nice.
That's fantastic. Well, before we get into the tour again, let me ask one more question about the concept of, as an artist, 3D printing being cheating, because I've had this conversation with a couple of people before, and I think you can probably speak better from like what the perspective of the art community is, right? Because the traditional artist would say, well, you should be sculpting that by hand, or like the fact that you're using a computer to do your sculpting digitally is considered less artistic to people. Is that what it is?
For me, I don't even bother trying to look into whatever justification they have, because as far as I'm concerned, it's nothing more than gatekeeping. Is it any different than having a buck and vacuum forming 50 sets of stormtrooper armor off of it? Sure, someone's done that initial sculpt, but the whole vacuum forming process, all you're doing is copy paste. For me, honestly, and the ththing that I broach is I go, 3D printers are nothing more than imagination machines to me. You take 20 machines and you put them on a table in a room, and you bring in 20 people from completely different walks of life, give them a 30-minute crash course, and turn them loose. The things that they create are just there isn't a day that I don't get online and see someone else's work that does just completely blow my mind and inspire. Right. Whether and whatever their needs are, whatever their perspective is. You look at the leaps and bounds in prosthetics. You look at leaps and bounds in robotics. I look at those guys and what they do, and I just go, "Oh, holy smokes! I'd love to be able to do that." Right. And I'm over here. I'm in my own little niche. I build what I like, and aim for my own passion. I think that's what keeps it coming through in my own artwork. But for folks that may say, I just go, my first question is, well, have you ever held a 3D printed item? Have you purchased one? Because 9 times out of 10, what I find the cause is that they bought something off of eBay or off of Etsy, and whoever the printer was, doesn't have a calibrated machine or is cheaping out on filament, and they're just kind of cranking out a crap product. And I go, it doesn't have to be that way. It's no different than resin casting or anything else. Resin casting, there's a million and one ways to do it wrong, and one way to do it right. And it's important.
It's interesting though, because the printer itself is just the tool, as we well know, right? Like, how is it cheating any more than a chisel is to marble or whatever? But I think where people get hung up is that it makes it easy to mass produce, which mass production is probably like not something that a true artist, whatever that is into. And then the other thing is that, okay, so maybe if you don't have the steady hand to do sculpting or whatever, other medium, they're like, well, it's allowing, I don't know. It's amazing that the technology enables you to do certain things, but it's not cheating. It's just a different approach, right?
Well, right. And for me, I look at it as this awesome gateway, because you have all of these people who have come out of the woodwork who are discovering that they like to make things. And all of a sudden you have this machine where, we have this absolutely massive sea of talented artists or digital artists who the sheer amount of time and knowledge it takes to be able to digitally design, like any other skill. It takes a lot of time to master that. And for the folks that either sell or offer their artwork for free, you're still putting your artwork out there, knowing that the masses are going to have the opportunity to then make one. I like that. I like that mentality of making it available for any Joe Schmo to be able to get their hands on it without. I mean, and granted, running these machines, we're still not at click, print, and walk away. It's
Right.
getting better. So there's still a fair amount of learning and knowledge that goes into running them and getting decent results out of it.
Sure.
So no,
I
will fight the fact that it's cheating to my dying breath. I think it's
earlier. Who's in a name said is it any different than someone writing a book? I think they said something like anything different than someone writing a book or typing a book. It's still a book, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and to be fair, us and our audience are biased, and we know it.
Right.
But I've had enough of those devil's advocate conversations, and at the end of the day, I just don't see this as being any different than any other medium you choose to work in. At the end of the day, it's what you make of it. Whether you just want to print models and throw them on a shelf, whether you want to go that extra mile to learning how to post process, or already know how to, the paint, the techniques, and quite frankly, look at how much people have learned enough about the machines to be able to discover new uses for them.
Right.
That level of creativity, like the tiles, that you've been working on, like those are fantastic. And all it takes is that one person to think outside the box and go, I wonder if this will work.
Right.
I like
exactly.
that.
I got to show this. So a couple people said, "Why? What is the picture we keep popping in and out?" So right here, that's a pretty sweet.
That is my 2-year ongoing project. So far, the head is the only thing that's done. I actually had him mostly assembled, and we had an earthquake, and he toppled off the workbench.
Oh no!
Pieces, and I was so disheartened that all the pieces just got pushed into a corner on the workbench. And it's been, I don't know, probably about 2 months since I finally got tired of the judging gazes and started reassembling him. But yeah, head's done, and I keep saying I'm going to get to him, but I have a feeling it's just going to be another one of those really long drives. On him, and then I kind of move on, and then I come back to him. I'm usually not like that with projects, and yet this has been the exception. I just want to make sure I get it right.
What about these?
Oh gosh, for me growing up, it was A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Like, I loved hats and helmets as a kid. Call it a kid fetish that I never grew out of. So Stormtrooper armor, Snowtrooper armor, and Biker Scout armor, that got me into the 501st neck deep a long time ago, and I've been out for a long time, but I think that was my big introduction. The first time I discovered childhood dream could be possible, and I could get my hands on a real life set of Stormtrooper armor. That started the ball rolling, and it's never stopped since.
Nice.
Obviously,
but the Stargate helmets are right up there. Like, you look at them and you look at the details of them, and even without the nostalgia of the movie in play, they are amongst some of the most beautiful props ever made of all time, in my opinion. They were a fun project. They've been on my bucket list for 15 years or so. Almost no one builds them because they're so, in the past, they were so labor intensive, and I had an opportunity 2 different times to get my hands on fan-made helmets, and the price tags were exorbitant, and the opportunity wasn't there, and I just had to pass. And so it's always been hanging out in the back of my brain, like, someday this will happen. And I found this artist online who had the Anubis helmet done, and I built it and spread it, and it took off like wildfire. And I went, hey, look, I have ideas. I think we can make some money doing this. I know I can certainly make you some money doing this. Can you do the Horus? And so we built the Horus. And so I built that, threw it up online. It went hog wild yet again. And he made enough money. He got himself a Prusa out of the deal. So he's happy as a clam. And I came back and I went, okay, look, man, we got to finish the trifecta. We got to do the Serpent Guard. So we did the Serpent Guard. So we built that up. And now I'm pushing. Because I'd really like him to do the raw helmet. And he swears up and down he's going to have a heart attack if he does it because the amount of detail is just staggering. But I think he's coming around slowly but surely.
That's the beauty of it, though. It makes you push the envelope, right? You're never one to. I mean, obviously, you've done, and is any proof to the fact that owning printers does not give you time? I have 40 plus printers at this point, and I can't produce anything anywhere near the caliber of what you're doing because the art and the dimensionality and the personality that you bring to the piece goes well beyond the model itself to the paint and your vision for the way you want to light it and how you want to paint it and all that stuff, right?
That is a very kind thing to say, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. There's most of these projects, I think when I did the Anubis helmet, that took me, I think it took me about 8 weeks to build. And at this point, I've got him down to where I can build him in about 3 weeks. But, that first initial, anytime I pick up one of these projects, I may, there's the initial design phase where I'm going, okay, well, here's the model. Here's my end vision. What do I need to do with the model to tweak it, to get it from point A to point B? And then once it hits the printer and I know that portion of it is done, that whole printing phase, there isn't a morning that I wake up where I'm not thinking about the engineering underneath the helmet or the lighting or the paint job. And predominantly it's the paint job.
Right.
And it's interesting. It's an opportunity to just kind of play with new techniques. The patina on the Anubis achieved a completely different way than the Horus. You learn things as you go, and quite honestly, I'm having too much fun. There isn't a single day that goes by where I'm not just in hog heaven a little bit because I like working with my hands.
That's great.
Yeah.
You won't work a day in your life when you love what you're doing the way you do, right? That's good.
Well, and it really shows in your work and everything that everybody out here keeps tagging you, right? Like we keep seeing you like almost every week. We see something new, and it really shows in that work that you love what you do. And not only that, but the stuff that you post, you're like, hey, look, I just started this, Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas. Like 5 hours later, it's got twinkling lights and it rotates and it shoots into space. Like, I mean, you do some crazy work in like I couldn't believe how fast that thing, to me, looked like it came along. But
seriously,
yeah, every time though, and you learn how to maximize it. And I have the benefit, machine wise, I've been running a CR10, a little i3 Mega, and a first gen Formax for years now. They're the only ones that have survived. I think I've probably completely murdered another like 4 past that just couldn't keep up. And these days, the two big workhorses are these Fusion 3 F410s, and they're kind of a pain to work on when something breaks, but it's not terrible. But they're fast. You just take the belt drive out of the equation, and the speeds can get cranked up, and that's part of the evil secret. It's worth the investment if you're seriously trying to do something like this.
Yeah.
It is speed because you need the time for post processing on them.
Yeah.
Right. So I think what are we about halfway there? Let's get you set up. Let's check out a tour if you got time.
I'm gonna bounce out and swap over to my phone, and then
sounds good.
The helmets don't come off, otherwise you get booted. No cheating while I'm gone.
Who's driving the ship here?
Give me a second, I'll bounce back in.
You know the rule.
Yes.
No,
This is
hang
a
on.
trip. It's funny because even in the chat, as we're going, he talks about it's just everybody wants to be like, what's that in the background there? What's that? It's like it's just the curiosity. All right. And I can only imagine as we walk through his shop how many little like gems everybody's gonna be pausing, go back, pause the video. I'm like, oh my gosh, was that a Big Daddy from Bioshock? Oh, was that I saw the Star-Lord helmet that like NAC 3D's done, and all kinds of great little trinkets in the background there.
All right, I'm gonna bring him back in. There he is.
There he is.
All right. So yes, trinkets.
I'm gonna put you up full screen, and we're gonna give you the floor. You ready?
Goodies. Trinkets is too underplaying what it is. I don't even know what to call it.
Let's see here. Can I rotate? Let me see how old I am. Can I rotate this camera on this? I don't think I can on here.
Go like this.
Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna make do, and you're gonna have to put up with my crappy camera angles. But the Wiley Coyote door is coming along. So far, ears and head are done. And
wow, he's really sticking out.
Oh gosh, I tell you, like I had this idea bouncing around in my brain. I'd found this model. I'd have to dig to find the source, but it's pretty heavily modified to make it work.
Oh, holy.
But yeah, you look at just how far out from the door it sticks, and thank God the workspace works because his ear just clears for that door to open all the way.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Wow.
how do you door stop that? The toolbox?
You don't. It just happened to be a workbench there, and
The
I went,
workbench.
okay, thank God. Yeah. So yeah, that's the ongoing shop project.
Oh, there's so much to look at. Look at this.
There's a
I know.
raw that's getting it's on the wait list to be painted, and a handful of other pieces. And we've got anybody remember Space Above and Beyond?
Look at all the Enterprise up on the wall. Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
that's the ongoing project for the moment. We're working on sanding them up, doing some seam filling, but we'll be doing a Space Above and Beyond helmet on here. Got the whole slew of Enterprises running along the wall, and then
Oh my gosh, look at these. The headpiece, the Stargate, like you said. Oh my gosh, you've just got the amount of time and plastic and paint you have in all of this.
it's not terrible. Time is the big suck, especially when you're going through and you're highlighting every single line and trying to keep it subtle. It's time consuming.
Matt, you're gonna have to go back through the comments. Watch the video after and just see like everybody is freaking out. They're like Freudberg and this, and as you walk through.
Thank you. You guys have an awesome community. Everybody has been so extraordinarily friendly, and honestly, I see what other folks are posting too. I'm equally as impressed. There, like I said, there isn't a single day that goes by where I don't have that wow factor from somebody else's work. I like that in being inspired or inspiring others. Have fun and enjoy what you build. It makes a huge difference.
I love that you're just saying that nonchalantly next to that mask. Like
the Horus, I'm being nitpicky. This ship's SG-1, it's been driving me absolutely nuts, and so it's actually getting ready to come off of here. We're going to be putting a new base on here. It's on the list of to-dos, so it had to work its way back up here. I didn't just stage the shop for this. Although I did paint all my cabinets, so things didn't look quite so dingy and ghetto. I got to do oil changes in here too, so things get a little out of control. Predator wise, yeah, you can use that oil on your models though.
There's a Predator.
Yeah,
nice.
And that sucker stands in that I think it was 36 or 37 inches, so it's a good scale up. But there's a lot of detail. It'll be a fun project someday when I finish it.
That got a hot make. That was one of the first ones I feel like I remember, right?
I think so, because I tossed that. I tossed his head up, and I hadn't really shown too awful much else. I did that shot over my shoulder, and everybody went bonkers for it, and I went, oh thank God. I did it right. You know, some of these pieces, like building 3PO, everybody gets under the impression that everything goes like peaches and cream in the shop, and it doesn't. You know, I had that moment muttering to myself where I'm like, why am I doing this? I know better than to do this. You know, trying to tackle a 3PO where you're not gonna go out and have him, you know, nickel plated and then professionally sprayed so you get this nice bright shiny thing. And all I could think was, you know, is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the one where everyone hates me because I killed, you know, this popular character? So
Oh, he's
big
so
review
humble.
piece.
No way.
The three Burton pieces. This one I haven't shown off yet. We did the center fountain with Jack.
Oh, I love that.
And this is just my own remix to go with it, but we LED lit the fountain.
Nice. Exclusive right here.
Exclusive.
Love it.
Bear with.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Come back.
Tim Burton, bring him back.
The curse of Burton.
Man down.
Did we lose him?
I think so. Dang it.
Maybe it's bad. He'll jump back on.
There you go. Yeah, it looks like he figured it out. He dropped himself and he'll be back. It was funny. He's like, yeah, we lit up the fountain with LED. Gone.
Dude, well, look, I mean, the chat's been blowing up.
Right.
And like Dan's like been policing, you know, making sure you get the like. Thank you, Dan. That's very kind of you.
Yeah. Very much.
But you know, it's really fun to just watch, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm just like staring. I'm like, what am I gonna see next? This guy's just the amount of time. I mean, when this is your job and this is what you do, it's just, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite tours, you know, I've ever done, and it's awesome.
Yeah, he's about to say, "Bear with me." All right, he's back.
Yeah, bear
thank
with
you.
me.
Bear with me.
Waka.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, and we got horizontal now. Oh my gosh, look at these Burton pieces, guys. That's awesome. Incredible. Now, when you're displaying this, is this all just staying in the shop, or do you ever take these to maker fairs? Or I know we're in the middle of a pandemic right now, but how do you travel with any of these things?
I haven't had the opportunity to yet. You know, I've had a handful of people that have reached out over this piece, wanting to buy it, and I truth be told, like my problem is I go, you know, look, like I'll come drive and meet you like partway. But Jack is so fragile. Like he's already a thin creature to begin with. There's just no way he's going to survive shipping. Like this was just a project for the sake of a project, because I went down the rabbit hole with this and went, oh, I'm really digging the art style. Let's just have
look
some
at the
fun.
detail of the lights there. I mean, I've never seen anything like this, man. Like your caliber of what you're doing here is just insane. Is this also an exclusive? Has this one? I hadn't seen this one before.
So this one's been popping up, but nobody's seen it with Jack finished. We managed to get an LED run all the way up so that the pumpkin in his hand does light up as well. Nice. And I finally got my secondary lighting working. So keep your eyes peeled, because I shot some really good darkroom photos of it the other day. Which it really popped. And then the last piece out of the three, of course, is the, we'll call it Land Shark Candygram from Beetlejuice. And it
there's those stripes.
I'm really happy with the way it came out. Like
it's just next level, man. This is so good. I mean, these are great little Halloween pieces. I mean, I can see you doing some good promo, obviously, with Halloween coming up, and
yeah, you know, they're fun pieces for me to do, and you know, for folks who are hardcore, you're always going to find that one person who's just absolutely hardcore about a movie, and they're going to see the piece and they're going to go, I got to have it.
Right.
So talk really briefly about that. So it's like, you know, I think about when I go to a gallery and you see pieces hanging up on the wall with prices on it. Like, do you do that, or is it just kind of like make me an offer, or, you know, because you know how much time and the truth is any artist is grossly underpaid when you think about how much time, and it's all time, right? You know, I don't care about filament. You probably get asked about filament and all that stuff all the time, but it's really time and effort in that regard that, you know, that is the money, you know, to the whole thing.
What I find though is that whether it's 3D printed or whether I vacuum formed it or whether, you know, we've cast it in resin, The conundrum is always the same. The running joke, or running jokes, because there's two, are, if it's art, if you have to ask the price tag, you probably can't afford it.
If it's the kind of caliber art you're dealing with, absolutely, yeah.
And that comes off way more jerky than I even remotely intend. It's one of those things that I've heard so many times over the years. And when it comes to private prop collections, that's kind of the territory that it falls into. And then the other one is, obviously, most of my stuff is really only going to be worth big bucks if I'm ever famous and dead.
So when you're dead, right? Yeah.
Big money comes into play, but for most folks, it's always trying to. More often than not, I find myself in a position where I kind of have to teach too, and I have to break things down and go, look, like I'm a one-man operation. I can't offer you Walmart pricing, and I don't run a factory in China. I'm not making 10,000 of these. You're paying for a one-off. But on the flip side, I don't gouge either. Like the prices are fair for what they've got into them. But it is one of those where I just go, with new customers, I go, PM me. I don't discuss it in public simply because a lot of this stuff it's trademarked. It's look a piece, and I just go, no, well, let's just keep it between the two of us. We'll discuss it out, and we can wrangle back and forth and see if we can't come to an agreement. And the nice part, I've got a handful of repeat customers. They're happy enough to come back, and that's more flattering than anything else. But I think getting new customers, and especially with COVID going, everybody's strapped, and I totally get it. So it's it's forced me to change tact a little bit and focus on advertising and promoting, so that if or when, let's say when, just to throw a note of hope in this world today, that all of this will pass like everything typically does.
Right.
Things can get back to normal, and then folks, might remember me and go, oh, well, I'm ready to start boosting my collection again. Let's see if he's interested in, building this or yada yada. The only stuff I stay away from is like cosplay armor. I'll do helmets, but armor has just gone south for me. If it doesn't fit, it just turns into too much of a headache, too much liability, and I don't have the overhead to be able to absorb that.
So real quick, we have a question. Excuse me. It says, how do you manage time and deadlines? I find that every project I have 5 or more alongside it and work until the 11th hour, sometimes the 12th hour. And you don't have to, spend a lot of time on that, but someone asked that a couple times. I wanted to make sure I got it out there.
Know yourself and know your workflow. I think if you were juggling this with another job, or if you were doing it as a side gig, well, I guess that really applies the same way. For me, I've got it pretty well dialed in at this point to where I very rarely do I do a project that I haven't already done once before. I know how long it took me. The print hours don't change, but you learn as you go, and so where you can shorten time on things. Deadlines, I give myself a reasonable deadline. I don't go way out. People don't typically have to wait that long, but there is a shop schedule, and so it's one of those where if you're interested in something, you approach me about it, we discuss it, then you have a very firm date of when that project will be started, and a timeline which is not 100% firm, but it's pretty tight. Like it's going to be within a week. Nice. That project will be done. And quite frankly, sometimes it involves 24-hour days, as my wife can attest. There's the occasional just marathon build.
Right.
And you just suck it up and push on through. I mean, whatever it takes, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're serious enough about it, the goal is to get it pushed out to the customer. But the biggest hurdles are materials and time, and that just comes with time and attentiveness. You need to be paying attention to what you're doing, and take notes, keep a logbook, do what works for you to keep track of those numbers because they're important.
Nice. So let's see some more. What else you got for us?
Well, we did this alien piece. I've seen a lot of people do this piece, but I did my own custom twist on it. Let me get my hand out of the way here. I've got an exhaust fan up in here for paint fumes, and so
look at this, guys.
Well,
wow,
that's amazing.
Let's build it out, and there's always little nuggets floating around. Just depends on what you're into.
Can you show us your paint setup real quick? I know you kind of walked past it.
Yeah. So I at this I used to do everything in testers. These days I've swapped over. It's pretty much all Army Painter or Vallejo. And it works. I very rarely do I use colors stock out of the bottle. 9 times out of 10. Yeah, I worked for Sherwin-Williams for a handful of years after I got out of the Army, and it's funny, for being kind of a minimum wage job and not being that appreciative for it at the time, being young and being hungry for more money. But these days I look back on it and the knowledge is phenomenal for mixing colors on the fly and just having an eye for it. And it makes it really easy just to drop a cup, do a couple drops here, a couple drops there, throw your thinner in it, and you're ready to brush your airbrush and do your thing. So there again, there isn't a day that goes by where I'm not grateful to have a shop and have a workspace like this.
This is great. I wish Noob was here to see this. He's such a huge painting guy. And I was going to ask too, have you saw Mark of the Road's shaker that we featured, was that last week, Jim? 2 weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah.
Have you tried that? Are you interested in that? Like, would shaking help in this, or is that a different kind of paint?
You know what? To be honest, I work so fast out here. Taking as cool as the gadget is, like I'm absolutely blown away by the engineering with the rubber band retention. My brain doesn't work that way, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
I find here in the shop, look, the final product, they may look like really, they look good. My workflow, I don't know whether it's traditional or not. I know myself, and I just work fast and dirty, and I'm loosey goosey with stuff. And if something gets messed up along the way, I just have my own techniques for clearing that up later on down the road without having to stop and strip everything back down. And
beautiful.
It just boils down. It's time and experience. If you like something enough, I have a benefit that I've been hobbying and doing it for so long.
Do you do any spray painting, or is it all pretty much just like hand paints or
like airbrushing? He said.
So as far as 3D prints go, very rarely do I print in PLA anymore. Almost everything is ABS, simply because it stands like a dream. It doesn't fight you the way PLA does. So it makes post-processing so much faster. Very rarely do I pull out a power sander. I deal almost exclusively in emery boards because they're fast and dirty to just get the job done. Every once in a long while, XTC 3D will come into play, but there again, rarely. It's more for structural reinforcement than anything else. Top coating, I use this. It smells terrible. It's probably toxic as all hell, but it's this Rust-Oleum automotive grade high filler primer. That's the only primer that I use. You won't see Krylon in the shop. All I use is Rust-Oleum because it plays really well together. But there isn't a single model that goes out of my shop that doesn't have, the Rust-Oleum primer on it, and doesn't have at least one, if not two, different Rust-Oleum base coats on it. Because that's cheap and easy. The hobby paints like the Army Painter and Vallejo, they come in small bottles and it's expensive. So you base coat everything, and then you can come back in and add your layers, and then like anybody who paints will tell you, it's all about the layers. Whether it's washes, whether it's base and top coats, whether it's highlighting and low lighting. You get to cheat the system with paint. I think that's probably why I love it so much.
Do we just see C3PO? Did I just
You
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
the carbonite? Everyone's like the
Get over
carbonite.
there. Everybody's talking about the carbonite and C3PO. Let's
It's
see
you
it.
can't go anywhere.
We'll have the other carbonite piece up and running, but yeah,
Nice.
off the store. I built one of these a long time ago and sold it with my entire Star Wars collection to help with the down payment on our first house, and I wanted another one, and I didn't have anywhere to just, like you guys said, just have it laying around. So I thought, well, let's just make it the office door, and yeah, there she is.
I got
And
this
3PO
carbonite lying around.
Yeah, 3PO. I snuck a little motion sensor into his belly, and if he decides to work, probably not with me standing here. But yeah, we've got him set up with a little motor turning his head back and forth. Every single joint, it's all ball and socket, like we covered online. So he's basically just a giant action figure. So for everybody who's built like me and not built to fit in the costume, this is an absolutely phenomenal model. Has since been made available on Thingiverse. It's a freebie now. You'll get everything except for the midriff and the wires and stuff, and the electronics, obviously. But this is a great way to have a 3PO.
You cranked that out. I mean, we've been following this along while you're building it, and the speed at which you apparently produced this thing is just insane to me.
Long days, and careful planning. How do you lay out your parts to minimize supports? How do you, and the benefit too is, or the thought is choose your models wisely. Just because you find a model of one thing and that's what you want to print, take the time. Look on CG Trader, look on Colts 3D. There's all these different sources of 3D models at this point that you may have found this one on Thingiverse that's a freebie, but if you take the time to learn how supports need to go in, how parts need to be orientated, you might find somebody else who's already designed that model, or 3 or 4 other people who have designed that model or done remixes of it. You might find one that's a little bit more print friendly and might save you on some material. There's a big push for the moment, and I'm happy to see it with designers thinking about what they're designing and designing their overhangs appropriately to minimize the need for all this wasted plastic. So hopefully we see that as a continued trend in the community. That'd be swell.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
designing for print is an interesting thing that people are starting to consider now. It's really really interesting.
There's a gauntlet.
So yeah, this was the building the studio scale probe droid from Empire Strikes Back. That was that was actually the first sponsored build that I did.
Get in a little closer on that one. Look at this, guys.
Oh my god!
And then I love how you're just like, I just threw some lighting in it and motion sensor.
Well, yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. This for me, I don't do a lot of 3D design work. It's slowly coming. I've got an associate's degree in mechanical drafting, and yet I find that I just don't use it. What I find is that my approach to 3D printing design is the same as how it's been physically for a long time. I kit bash. So your eyes open, designers, because if you've thrown something up somewhere, like you've thrown up a mech and it has a really cool knee, chances are I've probably gone, well, really cool mech, I'm probably never going to print it, but I like that knee, and so I've probably chopped that piece off, thrown it in my library, and it may end up getting grafted in somewhere. And the same goes for the base for this sucker. I kind of had a general idea for what I wanted it to be, and had found someone else who had done something like work with some modification and some windows and a little bit of resin, over the 3D printed, logo. You got yourself this weird custom base that nobody else has got. So, yeah.
Oh, dude, the chat is just having. I love it. Farsi Maniac. Oh my god!
For you Farscape fans out
here, people are loving the Farscape droid.
Oh man, I tell you, 1812 has been with me since our very first apartment, and all the props in my collection for my own personal stuff, it's cyclic. It comes and it goes, and I'm into something for a while up until something else gets my fancy, and then I got to liquidate to have free money to turn around and get into whatever else I'm doing. And 1812 has made the cut. every single time, and I think he'll always be with me. Yeah, we did that little pulse, peacekeeper pistol and a comm badge.
Is that a Star-Lord down there?
Yeah. Did a Star-Lord.
Oh, and of course the Stormtroopers, and he's got the cassette deck. Oh my god,
Halo. Wait.
Right, I'm gonna be shooting you a message about the Star-Lord and the cassette deck.
Oh, dude, I am loving the Fallout helmet. That's one of my favorite franchises of all time.
Yeah, I tell you, I had 2 of them. I had that one, and one of them's a T-45, one of them's a T-51, both by a phenomenal designer who had them at the time listed for free on My Mini Factory. I don't know if they're available anymore. I hope that they are, because they're such great models. They're well designed and very easy to assemble. And I needed a hand with the move when we moved down here to Carson, and had a handful of guys that really jumped in and worked their butts off. Some friends of mine, and they all got prop pieces, and one of them wandered off with the other.
Oh my gosh, David Shorey, you came to the wrong show late. You need to go back. You're gonna appreciate. There's so much that we've walked through that you really need to see here. Oh, you were going to talk about this is a Bioshock helmet?
No, actually, this is, I just had an itch to do this helmet, and this was my first foray into any kind of 3D design work, and so running the LEDs on the inside of it was a lesson in patience, to be sure, and it's extraordinarily difficult to print for anyone who buys it off my Colts 3D page. I sincerely apologize. It's a lot of work. It's cool when it's done, but you can swear at me if you want, if you buy it, and it's not fine-tuned. Yeah.
Man, did that come out cool. So just the your take on a dive bell. I like that. Okay. Sweet probe.
Yeah. And then we this was the escape pod from A New Hope. This model here, fantastic model by the Build It and They Will Come group. And then I found a Star Destroyer online, got to hacking up on it, figured, well, in the movie it escapes down and out, so I need to invert the whole thing. And so then it was, okay, how do we redesign the inside of the hangar bay to be a light box so that we get light shining up? And then I figured, well, once we've done that, well, let's do a small tan of 4 for it, so that we've got an extra little detail down in the bottom. But we got it all wired up, got the lights in the thrusters, and lights in the thrusters up top. Another little Stargate piece. This was just more of an experiment than anything else. I don't know that I'm uber proud of this one, but it works. It'll stay on the shelf. Finally finished the Grand Negus' staff here this last week, so folks will see an updated video of it. But I'm really happy with it. This was the first real trial for doing filament welding with ABS to fill seams on your parts, and it worked like a champ. I think I'm probably going to do more of it. The time that it takes is roughly the same as it does using Bondo spot putty and sanding, and it saves me having to buy as much Bondo spot putty in the shop. So, and I'm reusing scraps that otherwise would have just gone in the recycling bin. So nice reuse. Otherwise, you know what? I don't do much tabletop gaming, so sorry, Warhammer folks, or anybody else who's into this stuff. But I saw this figure, and I was playing around with an app on my phone for 3D scanning my own head, and it came out really good. And I digitally, slapped a beret on him since I'm X82nd, and then stuck my own head on this model, and so this is my Max figure.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it came up pretty good. Otherwise, it's there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
The geisha. Yeah.
Oh.
There's my Serenity model up here.
Firefly.
Yeah, it has its pros and cons. The game body one, I think, is the only other one that's available, and it's pretty solid. I like mine too. I put a lot of time into it, so yeah. But that's the office and the shop in a nutshell.
That's beautiful,
on
man.
247 Hinky says, after watching this is inspirational to all 3D printer users.
Absolutely.
Amen.
And non 3D printer users. It's just amazing.
I hope so, guys. I think the my general thought that I'd push to everybody is, it's like you printing in PLA or going to Thingiverse. Everybody starts somewhere.
Right.
And it's like any other hobby. If you really dig it, you're going to get better with time. A lot of the fun is either straight up stepping off the pool into design work, or not building something straight off the shelf.
Right.
Anytime you snag something, take a moment, think about it, and go, well, how can I customize this so that it's mine? It's different from the other, 50 of them that just got posted today. That's
well said.
The limits are just not there. You can just have as much fun with it as you want.
So we're getting questions and stuff. Where can people find your? So you mentioned
Right.
Cults. Okay. So
Yeah,
you have stuff on Cults. Where else can people find your stuff, and how do they reach out to you if they want something?
The YouTube channel is new. I have plans for it. What I've run into is I've got a lot of people who approach me who don't, they didn't build model kits growing up, and they know how to print, but they don't really know how to post process. So the goal with the channel is to start kind of doing some level 101 stuff, some level 102 stuff, some level 103 stuff. I'm long-winded. I'm going to teach you. So, bring your attention span with you, because what I notice is a lot of people want to become experts in, 2 minutes or less. And if that's your intent, then
you're in the wrong line of business.
You're in the wrong. Yeah.
Experts.
But quite frankly, I may teach you what you think is the right way or what you think is the wrong way. But I'm just going to teach you what works for me. And some of it really is just really quick and dirty. It's not, looking for this 100% perfect thing, because quite frankly, you can fix it in post. As far as, if you look up, Le Sanglier Kiri on Facebook, I know I gave you guys the link for it. Linked on the header. You can find my Insta, you can find my Twitter. If you just want to see just jump straight to the pictures of the artwork, Instagram's probably your best bet. And if you want to learn, well, subscribe and hang with me on YouTube. I will not promise you any kind of great editing prowess, because I don't have the time, quite frankly, but I will set up a camera over my shoulder while I'm building, and we'll do some little lesson plan stuff.
Nice. Well, I tell you one more thing. I know Zolan said, where can you find the Serenity? He loves to print one, and he wants to print one, and he's not joking. He said, "I'm not joking."
I will kick the link out to my Colts page to you guys after the thing, and that way folks can just go scope it out and see my attempts at digital design.
Well, Matt, you're obviously a busy guy, and I really want to thank you for taking the time to walk us through that. I can't even imagine the amount of hours you have and sweat in these things. And if this does nothing but raise some awareness around the amount of effort that goes into making a living this way is, I mean, I think it really has opened a lot of people's eyes. It's opened my eyes, and I have a lot of respect for this, because I have not a single, I always say, Pooch doesn't sand, so this is not my jam at all. But I have a lot of respect for the people that do, and your vision and your ability as an artist is absolutely second to none. And you need to go back through and look at these comments, because just everybody is just.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I will go on ahead and thank everyone in advance for just being generous, and thank you guys for having me on. Like I said, I think anybody stepping out to start their own business, it's long, hard days. It really doesn't make a difference, what you do, whether you open a restaurant or whatnot. And for little guys like me, it's nice to have an opportunity to just kind of get the word out and go, look, this is what I do. And if you're a collector and you're interested in, having a piece of my art, A, I'm flattered, and B, I'll gladly take your money.
Well, if it's any comfort too, I think it sounds like you have a sound business head on your shoulders too, because I know a lot of artists like don't like the business side of thing, but obviously it's a necessary evil if you want to make a living at it. And so it sounds like you have a good balance of the both.
You eat, breathe, and sleep it 24/7, and you're constantly thinking about it and worrying about it and going, okay, how are we going to make this work and make it feasible? Because I can genuinely say, I've been a lot of places, I've done a lot of things. I've worked a lot of different jobs over the years, and genuinely, I have never been as happy and content as with what I'm doing right now. So I genuinely hope that I can keep it going and keep it viable.
Do you have a Patreon?
I don't. I've had folks broach the subject with me, but I don't really have anything to give back to the community. I haven't gotten to that level yet. I can't give folks digital models. I can't give them special videos. It's all I can do to crank out what I'm going now, and I've got plans to kind of push that a little bit harder. So I've stayed away from that. To be honest, I'm trying to break that 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube, so I at least have the opportunity to try and monetize. I've got a little bit of money coming in from my Colts 3D. So
let's help him out with that, guys. If you're not subscribed, please make sure to get over there, subscribe, so he can get to that level. Obviously, something to think about if you get to the point where maybe Patreon makes sense, because I think there's a lot of people out there that would be more than happy to throw a couple bucks your way to support what you do.
Part of it too is learning on the fly. It's the joys of getting ready to turn 40, and I know enough about the internet to scrape by, but I'm just not one of the cool kids. So I think I had my stuff pop up on 9gag the other day, and I had to ask my wife what the hell it was and ask the public what it was, because I'm like, I don't have a clue what this is.
So real quick, I don't mean to switch gears, just to update everybody. I think we're gonna bypass the HotMakes tonight. We're already running late, and I did not want to stop this interview because this is the first time that we haven't stopped, because there's nothing in your shop there that someone doesn't want to see. So everything you just
all showed us, Matt's HotMakes
was
today.
the HotMakes today. So what I'm going to do, for us is I'm going to postpone these HotMakes till next week. You can still find the links in the description, as well as I think you gave me YouTube, and we're going to add your other links in after the show. But go hit that Google Doc. You can find all the HotMakes we were going to show, but stay tuned for next week. I'm going to show them then. I think it's important that we didn't break away, because you're really you're inspirational to many of us, just the things you do, the quality you're doing it, and on a whole completely another level. Recently, I think you posted, I think it was your brother-in-law or something, that they just lost. I think they lost their house, right, in the fire.
Yeah. So, I've never done a GoFundMe before, but we all our friends and family are back up in the Pacific Northwest, and so we drove up to Astoria with a great weekend. Hopefully, you guys did as well. My brother-in-law and his wife, they live east of Salem, up by Detroit Lake, and most of the folks that live up there, or that own property up there, I should say, they're more vacation houses, but there are some folks that actually do live up there, and they actually had a fire that got really bad out of hand, and then it turned into a second one, and the two joined together. And so I started this GoFundMe because every bit of information that he has gotten was that the house was gone. And you look at pictures of where Mill City used to stand, which is just down the road from him, and it's basically been completely wiped off the face of the earth. Fires throughout fires in California have become an annual thing where we're all mortified to see it, but we kind of expect it.
Well, we're getting every other word there. Sorry, you're breaking up. Well, we'll get a link if anybody wants to help out for that as well, as it is. I can speak to the severity living in California as well of how bad it is.
It's pretty rough out there.
There he is.
Guys, there he is.
Sorry, guys. I don't know. I had to drop out there. No, I've never seen a fire season like this bad, where it's burned California all the way up to the Olympic Peninsula. There's a lot of people that
Sure.
a lot of people have lost. And especially with this COVID stuff, I've gotten the response. Insurance. Well, yeah, they've got a mortgage, they've got homeowners insurance, but bear in mind this level of destruction. Contractors are going to be so busy, and if you throw COVID into the mix, like it's the perfect storm. It's yet one more gut shot from 2020. He has the information for the Patreon. We're pushing it. He hasn't collected any of it. He actually drove out there today, and he managed to make it like 5 checkpoints, and then got turned away at the 6th, like 20 miles away from his house. So we have no the structure is standing. Yeah, but keep your eyes open. There's a lot of hurting people out there. I know money's tight, but folks certainly appreciate the help because it's a pickle the whole way around.
Nice. Well, so did you say the GoFundMe is still open or is it closed?
It is currently open. The way it stands, we just don't know. We don't know if the house is standing or not. My brother-in-law stands on it. He talked to me the other day, and he goes, I feel bad. I actually feel guilty about this. And I went, why, dude? Like you're all your stuff's gone. Like your wife just posted this morning that she's got like 3 t-shirts and no pants. Like everything's gone. And
right.
He's like, well, maybe I just feel bad. Maybe we should cancel it. And I said, well, why don't we hold off until you've got 100% positive proof that your house is gone, or it's not. And if it's still standing, I said, then I'll deal with them, and we'll get folks the money kicked back so that they can keep it or
find somebody else to help.
Or push it to somebody else.
Sure.
If your house is still standing, your house is still standing. So
well, I tell you what on our side what we're gonna do. If it comes to it and you still have it open and it's not standing or whatever, the show's gonna throw in $100 to help him out.
Right on.
And if it is standing, let us know and we'll donate it to a charity either way. But
right on.
That's what we're going to do for you. And I mean, I can't thank you enough. I know we're running pretty late here so I appreciate everybody out there for hanging out with us. But
thanks for the extra time, and sorry to everybody whose HotMakes a teabag tonight. That was not my intention. I look forward to looking up. No,
it was too good. It was too good to cut away. It's too good to cut away.
It was. And we can't thank you enough for taking the time.
Hats off to you, sir.
Yeah. Oh, he was the first one.
Oh, Putin! Helmet went off.
But I was a tip of the hat. It wasn't a removal of the hat.
But to everybody else out there, if you joined late, go back, watch this episode from the beginning. You don't want to miss it. I tell you what, there's so much that you showed us, so much that people have learned this episode, and we can't thank you enough for being on with us. Thank you, man. We should probably have to have you on again to show you the B shelves, the ones you didn't show us.
Right. We're gonna need a whole after the HotMakes thing or something. But
the B shelves. Oh, that's
really good hanging with you, Matt. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you everybody else for hanging out there. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I saw a couple people say happy birthday. My birthday was Saturday, so thank you so much for that. Have a great night, everyone. And I'm typing as I'm talking, so there's that. But
let me just say real quick announcement for those that are still hanging with. I've been getting a bunch of questions about the big reveal for the printer room. It's ready. I'm going to reveal it on Prusa Live this Wednesday at noon Pacific. So if you want to see that, definitely don't miss it or catch the replay. So that's noon Pacific. It'll be 3 p.m. on the East Coast. If you want to see how that turned out, I'm really excited to reveal that.
Nice. You'll have to shoot a tweet link out so we can share it all around. So
I will absolutely do that.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging with us. We appreciate it, Matthew, for showing us everything. We pretty much are going to go broke buying all your stuff. So there's that.
Well, like I said, for folks, like, look, I get, pretty much all of us have a 3D printer. That being said, if you've got a project in mind and you're not sure you want to tackle it or you want help with it or whatever, I don't bite. Don't be afraid to reach out and maybe we'll hammer a deal out.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. You guys hang right there. I'll be right back with you. But everybody else, have a great week. We will see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.